going on? How's everyone doing?
Shout out to Colin. Everybody else who's cool with Colin.
Chunky, I didn't say.
Get your popcorn and your Coca-Cola and relax.
Anyway, tell Colin I'm ready.
What's going on? This is Colin. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having a great day so far. Yeah, I've been thinking about what I was going to say in this intro for the last 5 minutes. And the second I hit that go live button, my mind just went blank. So what's going on? It's Colin. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are having a great day so far. All right. I have got a very interesting case to share tonight. And I know it's been on a couple other channels. Rightfully so. It's there was a lot of drama in the 3B this morning. And I do want to shout out Lucy for letting me know this was going on. And so, yeah, thank you, Lucy. This is, this is kind of crazy. And if you haven't seen it yet, or if you have seen it yet, no spoilers. If you haven't seen it yet, this is good for a lot of different reasons. And I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it, so I don't really know what to say. Let's just say there's a prosecutor in trouble. It's not Debbie Davis. It's someone that works for her, someone that she hired. And he said some things to Judge Middleton in his chambers that you shouldn't say to a judge in their chambers. And it happened. So we're gonna watch the case and we're gonna react to it. We're gonna be as kind as possible. But I do want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think. So at the end of the video, I'm going to open up the panel. I don't want to do it during the video unless I will say this, unless an attorney wants to come up. If an attorney wants to come up, I'll let them up during the video. But I kind of want to get through the video and then I want to talk about it at the end. So the people that are watching this later can, at least watch the video fairly uninterrupted before the end of it. So yeah, at the end of the video, I will open up the panel to anyone who wants to come up and we'll discuss what happened. But yeah, this is a good one. So let's go. You guys want to watch some court? I want to watch some court. Let's watch some court. All right, before I hit that play button, you know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe. Do your jump kick backflips. Let's go.
This is file number 25760FY, People versus Karan Fuller. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
You're here with your lawyer, Mr. Ross Truckee.
Yes, sir, I am, John.
This matter is set for a pre-exam conference this morning. It's got some history to it. It was set for a preliminary examination on the 20th of May, I believe the date was, and you didn't show up. So you issued a bench warrant for your arrest. You presented yourself in court on the 28th, and I recalled the bench warrant and scheduled the matter for this morning. I asked for a special hearing regarding Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Gary Gabry. His boss, Deborah Davis, is here. Ms. Davis, is Mr. Gabry going to be present?
Your Honor, he's next door doing the sentencings with Judge Pattison. So it wasn't clear from the email what exactly we were going to be covering.
He was extremely disrespectful to me. He walked into my chambers, called me disgusting, stomped out and disagreed with my recalling the bench warrant in this case, which is a violation of the canons of professional ethics and a great insult to me. He also was wrong on the facts and the law. So he needs to be here and he needs to be prepared to apologize to me. And I'd like to make a special record with him present. If he feels he can come into my chambers and insult me and then stomp out because he disagrees with my ruling, he is sorely mistaken. So I want him present if we can proceed.
We can certainly deal with that issue. I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with today with Mr. Fuller, as far as what we do with his prelim, but.
Well, let's talk about that. Mr. Fuller, you're charged with being a felon in possession of ammunition.
Yes, sir.
which is a felony. The allegation is you had 2 shotgun shells. It was at one time set for a preliminary examination. I think witnesses may have even been here. You didn't show up. And then you called the court later that afternoon, as I recall, and the bench warrant issued. Then you presented yourself in court and I scheduled the matter for this morning. I didn't reschedule it for a prelim. I didn't want the prosecutor to have to bring in witnesses again. So, Mr. Truckee, what's our position in this case?
But this time we're going to leave it on for exam.
All right, in the regular course of business, the exam would be next Tuesday afternoon.
You haven't really missed anything yet. Judge Middleton kind of gave you gave us a summary of what happened. This defendant was released on he had a bench warrant, and Judge Middleton lifted the bench warrant and let this guy go. The prosecutor wasn't happy, went into Judge Middleton's chambers, and what Judge Middleton said, he said this was disgusting, and he was very angry with him, and then he stormed out of his chambers. That is what we know so far. So that is the drama. The prosecutor was very upset. This guy isn't in jail, but he went into judge's chambers to let him know. That's not good. Don't do that.
June 10th at 1 o'clock. All right, so your obligation is to be here next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
You have a habit of not showing up when you're supposed to. You don't abscond, you just don't appear when you're supposed to. So I let you out. I didn't give you a PR bond. I simply recalled the bench warrant and left your $10,000 cash or surety bond in effect. You held up your end of the deal. You showed up here this morning for this matter. But I want to make a record with Mr. Gabriel before I release you and Mr. Truckee. So I'm not sure what the status is next door.
In the meantime, the people would request that Mr. Fuller be drug tested. He is required to abstain from the use of drugs and alcohol while on bond. With his history and his not showing up, and he was 40 minutes late today, we would ask that he be drug tested.
Okay, we'll get to that. He did call and say he was on his way. His hearing was set for 9. I guess he came in about 6 after 9.
I'm sorry, it's at 8:30 on our docket.
Well, the actual PEC was 8:30. I set this hearing for 9. But all right, he was late, which was about his style. We'll talk about the drug testing in a minute. All right, we need to wait for Mr. Gabriel. Do we have any other cases that are ready to go?
All right, a couple things real quick. First and foremost, very most important, Big N, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it, my friend. Welcome to all the Big N Raiders. Just a quick summary of what you've missed so far. We have a prosecutor, not Debbie Davis, someone that works for Debbie, was upset with Judge Middleton lifting a bench warrant on this defendant that's actually currently paused on screen. The guy looks like a greenish top. I don't know. But he had a bench warrant out for his arrest. The guy tried to, I don't want to spoil it. Anyways, the bench warrant was lifted by Judge Middleton. The prosecutor walked into Judge Middleton's chambers and said that he was releasing him was disgusting, or the act was disgusting, and then stormed out of the chambers. He was very upset that the bench warrant was released on this guy. So we are currently waiting for this the prosecutor to show up, because Judge Middleton is demanding an apology. That is what's going on right now. If you've seen this on another channel, please don't spoil it. I want to talk about it, and for all the big and raiders that came in, I want to open up the panel after this, so we can have a discussion about this, because I want to talk about it, but I want to play the case, so I don't want to keep pausing and interrupting it. I will say this: if there is an attorney in the chat that wants to jump on panel during the video, I'll be more than happy to drop the link if anyone wants to come up. But for everybody else, I want to wait till the end. But I do want to have a discussion, so stick around, and I'll open the panel up. Real quick before I go, a girl named Joe, thank you so much for the gifted membership. Welcome to the new member. Thank you so much, a girl named Joe. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's go. Uncle Dan, I'll drop that link for you. You can come up if you want. But yeah, I know the attorneys that hang out. So if anyone else joins, I'm not going to bring you up till the end. But Uncle Dan, if you want to jump up, you can.
Well, we've got almost everybody we need. Is Mr. Gabriel gonna come?
Your Honor, I have not gone out and spoken with him after I sent that email. I was hoping.
I don't wish to do this in chambers. I wish to do it on the record.
Is this the
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, bud. Let me turn my
How are
mic.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, man.
You as well. You as well. So I don't know if you were here from the beginning or if you came over with the big and raid. Did you hear my quick summary of what happened?
I heard that. I'm stunned.
Did you say you're stunned? Is that what you said? I can't hear you now. I don't know why.
Yeah, sorry. I got to work out my mic situation here.
Oh, you sound crystal clear now. Okay. Yeah. So they're about to go into detail about it when the attorney gets there. So right now, it's just the quick summary that Judge Middleton gave. So we're about to get into it here momentarily. But I would love to hear your piece on it. I am going to let the attorney talk. He talks for about 15 straight minutes, and then we'll discuss. Sound good?
Awesome.
show cause or contempt?
No, it's just we're not there yet. I just want to make a record of what happened. If I get an appropriate apology, it'll be the end of it. But he needs to be accountable for his actions, and I'd like to speak to him about it.
Speak with him and get back.
I do want to say this because I've paused it a couple times already. The prosecutor in question is next door, so he was handling another case. It's not as if he's avoiding this, but he was handling another case. I do want to say that. Okay, let's go.
Your Honor, Mr. Gabriel is willing to come in and speak with the court. We would ask that it be off the live stream. It can still be an open courtroom, but we would ask that it not be streamed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want people to see me getting paddled.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's the paddle with the holes.
I don't know what we're waiting for.
We're waiting for Mr. Gabriel. I'm
Is
not
there
sure.
another hearing in a different court?
I'm sorry.
I thought he was done.
He is, I guess I was hoping the court would address.
No, I'm not doing it in chambers, and I'm doing it on a live feed. If he doesn't wish to be here, we'll make a record. I'd like him to be here. He had a position he wanted to state. I never got a chance to explain my position. So no, if he doesn't wish to be here, then I'm gonna proceed accordingly.
Kind of, we go.
Oh, man.
As far as
No.
Mr. Fuller's case, is there a drug test?
Well, I called. We'll address that when everybody gets here. We can't do an instant drug test because we don't have a male certified to do it. We only have Autumn. So I'm going to send them to the day reporting center directly from here. There's a condition of your bond that you test on demand of any police court officer, prosecutor is asking for a drug test. I would prefer to have done an instant one. We did.
What's up?
MB is exactly right.
Yeah.
Just thinking of this, I'm just like, oh my God, man, what were you thinking? Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. Just listen to his apology here in a second, though.
One yesterday, which you're going to deal with.
Oh, real quick. I don't want to get behind. Too many soft sits. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very generous of you. Thank you. That is awesome.
One soft sit is too many.
Right.
Minute, but I don't have the ability to do that. So when we finish here, you're going to go directly to the day reporting center and test, and then we'll deal with the results of your test either when we get them or at the time of the prelim, which is set for next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, good morning. Mr. Gabriel is here, and we're going to proceed. This is in the matter of Peoples versus Karan Duvar Fuller.
Your Honor, this is on the record, the lights.
Oh, yeah, good, thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Laura came in to check. This is in the matter of People versus Karan Duvar Fuller. Mr. Fuller is here with his lawyer, Mr. Ross Truckee.
Soft tards. A group of soft sits are known as a soft tard. Soft tards. I don't know. That's the best answer I can have. There's a better answer out there. Eileen, thank you so much for the gifted membership. I appreciate it. Welcome to the new member. Thank you, Eileen.
About an idiocy of soft sits.
Yeah. All right. Prosecutor's there. Here we go. You guys ready for this? Let me know how you think he did, Uncle Dan. Let me know.
Also present is Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Gary Gabriel and Prosecuting Attorney Deborah Davis. Mr. Fuller was charged in April with being a felon in possession of ammunition. I believe that alleges he had 2 shotgun shells. Anyway, because he is a felon, he's not allowed to possess ammunition, and the matter was charged as a felony. He is on bond on 3 other felony cases, which are all found over to the circuit court. And he was charged with this. Judge Pattison set the bond at $10,000 cash or surety with certain conditions, including supervision of the Community Corrections Office and drug testing. The defendant was here on, I believe, May 13th for a pre-exam conference with Mr. Truckee and indicated at that time he wished to have a preliminary examination. So the preliminary examination was set for May 20th. And I'm going to represent what I was told so anybody can correct if it's different. At any rate, the defendant didn't show up on May 20th. Police officers were here prepared to testify, much to the consternation of all of us, including me. So I issued a bench warrant and set bond at no bond. I wanted to see you personally. Then I went on a trip. I came back on Tuesday, May 27th. I believe it was, this occurred the following day. I may have my days mixed up. I thought it was Wednesday, the 28th. At any rate, there was a warrant out for Mr. Fuller's arrest for failing to appear at that hearing. He called the court that day after the 20th and said, in the afternoon of the 20th, so I missed my court date. And they said, well, there's a warrant for your arrest. Between the 13th and the 20th, Mr. Fuller came into the court and paid some payments on a payment plan that he was on for some other cases. So between the 13th Tuesday and 20th, they didn't show up. He was actually in the courthouse and paid on some fine. So he didn't show up on the 20th. Then he presented himself at the court. Now, Mr. Truckee or Mr. Fuller, you can fill in the details here. My understanding is Mr. Truckee told him to turn himself in at the jail. Rather than meet him here at the courthouse, Mr. Truckee was here that morning. he told him to turn himself in at the jail. My understanding is, and correct me again if I'm wrong, he went to the jail and sat there for about 45 minutes, but they said they were too busy to book you in. Is that true?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
So you came from the jail to here. So I'm in the middle of a busy morning with a bunch of other stuff going on, and here you are. So you walked, Mr. Truckee walked out the door, you walked in the door. So he was gone. We tried to call him, but he was already on his way to Three Rivers. So here you are. I canceled your bond. It was my bench warrant. And there's a statute that nobody likes. But it's MCR 6.105. It's actually a court rule. If a defendant wanted on a bench warrant or arrest warrant voluntarily presents himself to the court on that warrant within 1 year, the court must either recall the warrant and schedule the case for a future appearance. It is presumed that the defendant is not a flight risk when the court sets a bond order or other conditions of release at arraignment. So that's what I did. There was another option.
All right. So if you have a year to turn yourself in to get a PR, like, that doesn't really make sense. There's a lot of holes in that argument. But that's a court rule.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it seems like Middleton's walking down through it.
Yeah.
And he's walking through it exactly what I expect a judge to do. He's going to walk through it very carefully. You hope a judge does that,
Yes.
whichever side you're on. So yeah, Middleton here to me is being, this is what you want in a judge. Either side of the aisle, you want that. Whether you're, for me, plaintiff or defendant side, you want a judge like that.
I agree. You would know better than me, but I agree.
You can arraign the defendant.
Your opinion's still good, man.
The court is available to do so within 2.
Well, my opinion is just an opinion. You actually have
My opinion is it's the same thing.
I mean, but you actually have experience. I have just court watching experience. You have actual legal experience.
Well,
your opinion weighs more than mine.
Let me tell you, I'm impressed by you, and there's some other folks who do court watching. Not everybody knows what they're talking about. Sometimes but when you watch it a lot of it is common sense. Just sit back and think carefully for a little bit. It's just like, but a lot of it works out to be common sense. And if you use your common sense and you have a sense of fairness, you can usually figure out what judges are going to do. I mean, don't get your emotions tied up into it too much. Judges told me, I've heard 2 judges tell me in CLEs, community continuing legal education courses, that what a judge does is get a sense of what's fair, then works back to make the steps through. And it's clear that that's what they do. So if you have a sense of fairness, you have some common sense, you can do a really good job of predicting what judges are going to do.
That's fair. All right, let's go. I have no response to that. So let's just keep going.
2 hours of the defendant presenting himself. So he'd been to the court between the dates. He called the court the date he missed. He went to the jail to turn himself in. They wouldn't accept him. So I went with option 2 of the court rule, which allows him to be presumed to not be a flight risk and appear, which he did. Mr. Truckee was scheduled to be here this morning. He was late. He did call and said he was running late, but he's here. I didn't give him a PR bond. I simply recalled the warrant and reinstated the $10,000 cash or surety bond that was in effect. So it's like, okay, no counsel was here. Mr. Stickley wasn't available. Mr. Truckee had left. I didn't give notice to the prosecutor. I simply scheduled the matter for this morning. And then went on back about my business because I had other stuff to catch up from being on vacation. So some point later that morning, Mr. Gabriel came into my chambers. I was in there signing some orders and I said, "Hey, good morning. I got something I'd like to talk to you about." I had a misdemeanor complaint that was handled by their intern that I wanted to check with him on. And he said, "I have more important things to talk about than that." And he said, "Why in the hell would you give Karan Fuller a PR bond?" And I didn't have an instant response. But I didn't have a PR bond. I just recalled the bench warrant. And then I said, "Well, I guess I'm sorry I didn't give you notice of the proceeding," but he just showed up and I cited the court rule. So I set it for today. So Mr. Gabriel was quite upset. He got up and either said, "This is disgusting," or "You're disgusting," and he walked out of my office. And this was ex parte. Nobody else was in there but us. And so I left sitting there thinking either me, now maybe the statute is disgusting or court rule that there's a presumption if they turn themselves in.
Did you hear him say this was ex parte?
Yep.
I double checked the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, RPC 3.5, Rule of Professional 3.5 forbids. I'm a Washington barred lawyer. I'm licensed in Washington State. Practice out of Washington State. Done a lot of work elsewhere through what's called pro hoc vice, being admitted for the term of the thing, but not licensed in Michigan. But anyway, RPC 3.5 says, "Thou shalt not have ex parte contact with a judge in a matter." And it's like, I heard that he walked in and said that he had ex parte contact with Judge Middleton about a matter before the court. And that makes my skin crawl. And I am not at all surprised that Judge Middleton is putting this on the record. And on not only on the record, but also on YouTube. Don't do this, folks. Don't do that. That's the sort of thing that can get you a referral to the Bar Association. So, yeah. Okay.
That they're not a flight risk. If I had done that when I was assistant prosecutor to Judge McManus, Bob Karras would have fired me that morning. When did it become a thing that the assistant prosecutor could come in and tell the judge that he's disgusted by a ruling that he made? I'm not sure when that became appropriate. I don't believe you do it to Judge Stutzman. I don't believe you do it to one of the judges in Kalamazoo. I followed the law. I had an understanding of the facts. I followed the court rule. I set the matter for hearing. He's here today. The offense he was released on was possession of 2 shotgun shells. I don't have the discretion to cancel this bond because Gary Gabriel is mad at him. And I didn't deserve what you came in and said to me. In my career as judge, you've been the most disrespectful attorney to me, bar none. An attorney came to me after a hearing and said, "How long do I have to be a lawyer before I can be as much of an asshole as Gary Gabriel was to you?" I don't deserve that, and I didn't deserve this. I followed the law. I had a better understanding of the facts than you did. I had a better understanding of the law than you did, and he's here now. Make a motion to cancel his bond in circuit court if you're that upset about it. I'm going to send him for a drug test here before we're done this morning. This violates the canons of professional responsibility. You have an obligation.
Early on, if you're a litigator, when you're a young lawyer, or a baby lawyer, as we often call them. I don't, because I think that's a little silly. I've seen lawyers fresh out of law school who do absolutely fabulous work. So it's insulting to call them baby lawyers. But one of the first things you're taught to do is, if you get an adverse ruling from a judge, you say, "Thank you, Your Honor." And that's it. You say, "Thank you, Your Honor," and you move on. you're just taught that. I'm astonished. I continue to be astonished by this, that he would do that sort of thing. Just, yeah, I'm everybody's uncle. You didn't know. You didn't know it. The family tree is a little tangled, but it's kind of like the opposite of it's. The huge family tree, unlike say being from Kentucky. So.
All right, while we're paused real quick, Richard, member for 1 month. Thank you so much. It's not Richard, it's Rich and Jean. That's what happens when I read too fast. Rich and Jean, thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Sorry I butchered the name for a second. Donna became a new member. Thank you so much, Donna. Welcome to the family. Thank you. All right, let's keep going. We're like I keep saying this, but his apology, let's just go. I want to get to him. Judge Middleton is absolutely tearing it apart right now, though. Yeah, like Uncle Dan said, don't do this. Don't do this, people. Don't do it.
Obligation to treat the court with respect, and your other lawyers with respect. And I understand that you were upset, but you left before I even got a chance to explain myself. So that isn't a thing. The assistant prosecutor can't go into the judge's office and say, your ruling sucks. That's not how it works. So I didn't deserve it. I don't deserve it. And I believe I was right. And he's here now. We're going to have a drug test. You have your right for a preliminary examination, which will be next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, and we'll proceed accordingly. So what I expect is you to apologize. I understand that you lost your temper and you're upset about it. And that's to be understood. Nobody liked Court Rule 6.105. It was very controversial with the judges. You either had to let them go or drop everything you're doing and arraign them within 2 hours. And as I said, he had turned himself in at the jail and they wouldn't take it. So I set it for this. So that's all I have to say on the matter. Ms. Davis.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I would like to say that we were not aware of Mr. Fuller attempting to turn himself into the jail. That's the first I've heard of it is today. We'll certainly be following up with that. Our belief is that the bench warrant arraignment is a critical stage and that he should have had an attorney. We had made it clear at the last hearing when the request was made that we felt that Mr. Fuller was a continuing risk. He was involved with felonies. He's not new to the system. He knows how this works. He knows where he's supposed to be and when he's supposed to be there. His pattern of behavior towards law enforcement is extremely dangerous, with fleeing and eluding and resisting and obstructing. And in order to protect society and give our law enforcement the support that they deserve too, we were asking that his bond be canceled and that he be remanded. The concern is now that he continues to be around people who use substances. So his history and not showing up, I'm thankful that the court is going to have a test done.
Well, let's assume that all that is true. What gives him the right to come into my office and express his disgust for my ruling?
Your Honor, I don't believe that it's not appropriate. I get that. We are in a very difficult situation in our office in light of everything that's happened in the last year and a half. So it's been very difficult. It's been very stressful. And I think overall, Mr. Gavery has the same philosophy that I do as far as holding people accountable and taking action so that people know that if they do get in trouble, we're going to hold them accountable and not just allow people to waltz in as when it's convenient for them. It's not convenient for any of us, and we do our best to have somebody available at all times so that if there is an emergency hearing, the court can call down and we will get somebody here. So what happened, the way it was described to me was different than what
well, there's two sides to every story.
Correct, and there's perceptions. So I know that Mr. Gavery apologizes for the.
I don't want to hear it from you. I want to hear it from him.
I understand it. We'll give him a chance to speak in just a moment, but from the beginning, it's my understanding that the comment was made as far as the whole process, because we feel like we're doing our best to charge, hold people accountable, and show up.
Yeah, I don't agree. I'll tell you right now, I don't agree with this. See, mother of pearl.
She's
I hold on. I want to make my point. Then you're absolutely welcome to make yours. She is the prosecutor. She is the elected prosecutor. It is. I'm not going to say it's her job, but if I was the leader of a group, I would absolutely do this. I would try to absorb as much as I could, to deflect as much as I could off of someone beneath me. Because I mean, you're in charge. You hired them, so you are responsible for the people that you hire. And I will make this even. It might even be a really bad analogy, but if you watch baseball and you see the managers running out to start fighting with the umpires and the referees when their players start getting in fights, that's not because they disagree with the call. That's because they would rather get kicked out of the game than their player get kicked out of the game. And that is a leader mentality, and I think that's what Debbie's showing right now. Okay, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I agree. You get out there, you don't throw them under the bus, but you get out there, but you don't make excuses either. You go in. She's going on too long. Needed to get in. We apologize, Your Honor. He's going to speak to this, but let me assure you that our office, of course, has the utmost respect for you. We endeavor to show that, and we will that respect, and we never intend to show any disrespect, and we will. I will take steps to address that, etc. She's making a lot of excuses. Not a good idea in a place like this. It's understandable. You want to avoid that. Just accept it and go on.
That's fair.
Whenever we can.
Well, we've got a case where he's charged with possessing 2 shotgun shells.
Which
Move
is,
to cancel his bond in circuit court. If you could, I don't want to hang my nail on canceling a bond for someone who was here in between, called the court, went to jail. And the law doesn't require that I give notice to the prosecutor. I had one of these yesterday. I have one almost once a week. Somebody shows up. So he's here. And you're right. He keeps doing stuff. Or try one of the cases. He's got 3 cases bound over to circuit court. He got charged with a crime, got arrested again. No motion to cancel his bond in circuit court. We set his bond at $10,000 cash or surety with conditions. So it isn't like we're just saying, please don't do this. But it would have been an abuse of my discretion to cancel his bond for not showing up on a case where he possessed 2 shotgun shells. So I set it for this hearing, and he's here, and we're going to drug test him, and you can have a prelim next week.
thank you, Ron.
And just Mr. Gabriel.
All right, are we ready?
Make it good, man. Make it good.
Real quick, Mary Smith, thank you so much for the 15 months. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mary. 15 months, that is awesome. And Chris with the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Chris. Welcome to the 5 new members. Thank you so much. Okay.
I agree. RD Files, let's see how he apologizes, how the judge takes it before we talk about dropping a normally good prosecutor. That's true, too.
Now, I will say this. I didn't watch the other channels cover this. I know Mike covered it. I know OSG covered it. I didn't watch them because I wanted to do this live, and I didn't want them to change my opinions on it.
I haven't seen what I have to say.
And reading all the comments and listening to you, like I'm trying not to change my opinion, but I feel like you guys you're pushing me, and I'm gonna try to stay hard on my opinion.
I'm a pushy sort.
All right, let's go. Oh, real quick. I don't want to pause it through this whole speech. It's about 10. I'm gonna say about 10 minutes. So I'm not gonna pause it. We're gonna play it right through. So Dan, if you ask me to pause it, I'm not going to. Just a heads up.
First of all, let me say without any equivocation that I apologize for losing my temper, for addressing you more as someone that I have known for my entire career in criminal justice, someone who with me taught a number of even elected prosecutors right now how to try a case, how to be a prosecutor, what the ethics are involved in prosecution. In my 45 plus years, I have never been held in contempt. I have never disrespected the court when on the record. I have always prided myself on not only doing the right thing as a prosecutor, but also protecting the community's interests and law enforcement's resources. The comment that I made to you would never, Your Honor, and I think you know this because you and I know each other, our wives know each other, we've spent time on Mackinac, would never indicate my disgust for you as a human being. I have the utmost respect for your career. I do, however, differ with some of your handling of matters, one of which is your live stream. And you are aware that I took an opinion about that the last time I was here. I still come to court when I can. I was brought in here to handle circuit court with the idea that this office might be able to get back where it should be before the last prosecutor dismantled things with his blatant accusations against my present boss. That's why I'm back here, because I believe in this prosecutor. I believe she's the first one you've had in a while that wants to do the right thing. And the right thing, just like it was the first time I was here for a while, was to hold the people that are putting a huge burden on the citizens in this community, to hold them accountable. My anger and my disrespect was directed towards a feeling that I have that this court expects a lot of its prosecutors to be here, to just wait, to address things that, as I just conveyed to the chief judge, one of the few counties I've ever been in as a prosecutor or a defense attorney where prosecutors appear routinely at sentencings. It just doesn't happen anywhere else. Why? Because they're busy. Well, we're busy. We have 3 people. One of them is the elected prosecutor, the newly elected prosecutor, who has her hands full just trying to correct the errors of the past year. That leaves me handling circuit court and helping out in district court, while Mr. Robert is helping out in district court and also spending a lot of time in Three Rivers. So yes, there is a lot of pressure on this office. Did that enter into my feelings of disrespect for how this system operates? Yes, it did. It was never directed towards you, Judge Middleton. There are times when I lapse and I have to think to myself to say Judge Middleton, because we've known each other a long time. I will, if I can, be honest now, not that I haven't been up until now. You will recall that while at that prelim, I came in here and I advised the court right away that I had been working and trying to get Mr. Truckee to let me know whether Mr. Fuller was going to waive or not waive, that I had talked to Mr. Truckee about what would happen if I'm going to have to bring officers to come in and sit as what you call kind of so what case. Well, they came and they waited and they waited and we waited. I looked at this young man's record, this 34-year-old man, and I saw bench warrants just like this on the Walmart case and the stolen car case, where he was supposed to be here. And it got adjourned, come back. I think Rhonda Ives, nope, no bench warrants issued. In this situation, what happened from our perspective that day was I appeared at the prelim. I respectfully laid out why I thought it was appropriate that his bond be canceled, that a bench warrant be issued so that he could be brought before the court. And I knew he was going to get another bond, or at least we might find out, A, is he around? People assumed he was. I don't assume anything. All I know is he was supposed to be here. You did a bench warrant. I checked when you were gone because Mr. Robert pointed out the ROA was confusing, that it sounded like he was to be something about arrest, but the warrant was there. So I talked to Judge Pattison. We went to the district court. We clarified the day before he walked into court that the bench warrant was valid. Mr. Truckee had told him to go to the jail. And I knew nothing about him coming in here. Certainly knew nothing about him going to the jail. I knew nothing about him coming into the court when there was a warrant and nobody in security notified us. What I was notified of was when my prosecutor walked in that morning and said, I just saw Karan Fuller riding a bike or something down the street. What's going on? So I go up to security and they tell me, oh, he came in and Judge Middleton let him go. That upset me. It upset me because I thought that because of the respect that I've always shown in this court, my willingness to try to be here to do what I can to help out, that I would have been notified of something when I'm sitting in my office looking at my cases. I want to know why he wasn't here. That's usually what happens in circuit. They get arrested. Why were you here? Well, my mother was sick. Okay, we'll reinstate the bond. Something to impress upon people that the court means business. And that's all I ask as a prosecutor, that the message that gets sent through this live stream, through our appearances in court, means something. Not comments like on the record, well, it's not the crime of the century. Or it's a pain in my neck
He said he's a
when this
pain in the neck,
happens. Pardon me?
Yeah, he is a pain in the
Right.
neck.
But he's more than that, Your Honor. He shows disrespect to you, too. Your statement that you made about, well, it's more trouble to book you in and then book you out.
That's true.
It is. But that's the system that's in
Well,
place,
all right,
isn't it?
listen, I agree with everything you said.
And
But
let me finish and then I'll take my admonition. I do not recall that you ever indicated or that I indicated a PR bond. I didn't know what happened. All I knew is you let him, they told me that you let him out. I didn't hear the court rule cited whatsoever. That I think would have been the thing that we might have done on the record had he been brought in and Mr. Truckee held here or held in the jail and held in lockup until Mr. Truckee got back, because I'm interested to know what kind of contact, if any, he even had with his attorney after he walked out of here. Those are the kinds of issues that go into my decision on whether I'm not going to use additional resources to just simply file a motion in front of Judge Stutzman and bring Ms. Ives in and bring everybody else in because of the multiple attorneys that get involved here. So there are a lot of things that I like to discuss. And I think if you talk to the chief judge, you'll hear that we talk about ways to try to improve the system, to try to make it more efficient, to try to make it work with just 3 of us. So yes, I was angry. Yes, I regret my comments to you, and I regret losing my temper. I don't want to be seen as that way, but I have been doing this for pretty close to 50 years. And I've seen it all. And I've been a judge dealing with parolees going back in front of me on the pro board. I know what it is to disrespect someone, and I feel bad that I did that. And I feel bad that I did it to somebody that I, in the past, considered a friend. I hope you will accept my apology for that and recognize that the frustration that I have is not because I'm lazy. It's not because we don't want to be bothered. It's because we want to try to make the system work for the people in this county, the people that are paying a lot of money. My last comment that I wrote down when you were talking is what you said about the court rule. And I will say, I don't have that memorized. I haven't really experienced that before. Nobody's ever cited it to me. The way it's been handled is what I just outlined. Come in, hear your story. Why did you do? Ask the defense attorney, what kind of contact did you have? Usually there's the admonition. I'm going to let you out. You're going to be in touch with your attorney. You're going to be on time, not 10 minutes late for court, like this morning.
We went through that.
Okay. And is he, not presumably a flight risk? Let's not forget that this case, in which he faces life or any term of years because of his past record, is right on the heels of a case in which he led law enforcement through this little town in a high-speed chase while he allegedly was carrying meth and a gun. So this man is bordering on heading into a lot more serious. And it seems to me, and again, I'm not going to go into comments that you and I had off the record about your past dealings and family's dealings with Mr. Fuller. But yes, I was upset because I have a perception that this is not being treated seriously. And for that, I apologize.
All right, your apology is accepted.
Thank you.
What do you think, Dan? Uncle Dan?
I'm even more aghast. That was horrendous. That was horrendous. Now, you do have to understand that I'm very much an idealist about our job as lawyers. I actually like to believe that, I like to believe that we really follow the rules. I can't imagine going in and saying anything other than, Your Honor, I was out of line. I was terribly out of line. Just contacting ex parte is so bad. He ought to consider that a smart defense attorney is going to be saying, oh, ex parte contact with the judge. Let's do something about that. And how he screwed that up. I get it. He's frustrated. Everything's bad. I get very passionate about my cases. I always have. And I can't let it go. I'll tell you, really weird things happened last Friday in one of my cases. Supposed to go to trial yesterday. Complete shambles. I didn't sleep Friday night because I was worried about what was going on. I shouldn't do that, right? I should be able to let things go. You can't let things go if you really care. But this, you say, it's not an excuse. Not at all an excuse for violating the RPCs, the rules of professional conduct. And it's bad too because he and Judge Middleton may go back a long ways, but you don't think that that's going to hurt you in the long run? With your credibility with court to do something like that, and then hurts the state. The state of Michigan. What county is this? Is this Washington?
St. Joseph County.
St. Joseph County. I wasn't sure if that was the city or the state. I don't know Michigan very well. I live in Minnesota, although I practice in Washington. But anyway, I thought the apology was terrible. You go in, you say, "I'm sorry." You can say, "I let my temper get the better of me. I am going to take steps to address that. I shouldn't be doing that, and I will take steps to take care of that. I apologize to the court as the court, and I apologize to you personally, Judge Middleton, for that, and I apologize to my colleagues here for that, and the people of St. Joseph County, because I was out of line, and I will take steps to ensure that I don't do that again." And then you sit down. Happy Rock Publishing. I could tell a long story about Judge Kuhnauer in the Western District of Washington, and an encounter I had with him a number of years ago where the former firm I was with hadn't hired him. When he was fresh out of law school, they didn't hire him. I was in for a conference on a case. I ended up talking with him alone after the conference ended, and he said, asked where I was, and then he said, yeah, your firm didn't hire me. And I said, I would get back at your firm if it took me 50 years. And I was sitting there thinking, man, it's been 45. Could we just call it good now? So, it's like they remember you, and it hurts. So you got to keep your credibility. I've taught legal writing, and one of the things I've taught is Aristotle said there are three proofs for a rhetorician: ethos, pathos, and logos. Logos, logic; pathos, emotion. Ethos is the character of the speaker, and Aristotle said the character of the speaker is the most important proof. And so I always told the associates at my former firm, I told my students, you have to have that character. Don't sacrifice your character. Don't lie. Don't misrepresent. Don't fudge. Don't get judges angry. Don't get judges angry at you. Terrible idea. And this, man, I don't know. I don't know what Mike had to say. Mike's a good guy, knows his stuff. I don't know what he had to say about it. Again, I tend to be stricter about these things than a lot of people. The state of Washington, the practice I generally see where I go is a little more, both more collegial, but also more formal. I was in a hearing today. Opposing counsel started getting heated. Judge tamped him down right away, and it did not help him at all. So, yeah. I know I heard that, and my brain was exploding. What William Jedi said, my brain was exploding. Also, I'd say Judge Middleton shouldn't be having those discussions either, even off the record. It's always a problem. I know for judges that always a problem that they have to live in little cocoons. It's very insular. So I feel for them. Yeah, it's just I think this was, he is still angry about this, and he shouldn't be. Especially, look, he's representing the people of the state. He's not the people, or the people of the county. He's not the people of the county. And I always have to tell myself, I am not my client. I am doing a job, and if the judge is, screws up, that's not me. The effect is not on me. The effect may be on my client. The effect isn't on me, and I need to let it go and not get emotional about it. I do get emotional because I am passionate about what I do, but I've never done anything like this. I've never seen anyone do anything like this. At one time, judge told me to sit down because I was arguing too long. Judge was completely out of line. It was at trial the next day. The judge said I was wrong and took it all back. But, that was the one time. And even then I learned, don't get there again, Dan. So anyway, I thought it was terrible apology.
All right. Do you want to hear my opinion, or do you want to listen to the rest of it and then you want to hear my opinion?
Either way, I really, Colin, I'm sincere about this. I've watched you a lot. I think very highly of you. You're a guy with great common sense and great decency, which I respect a great deal. So I very much want to hear your opinion.
Okay. My opinion is going to be the opposite of what everyone else is saying.
Oh.
I took that as sincere. I know he didn't. It wasn't a apology. I understand that. But
it was sincere.
What he said was sincere. He did say I'm sorry a few times. I don't believe he's sorry. I think he's sorry because he's in trouble. I think that's why he's saying he's sorry. What I see in this is an extremely passionate prosecutor who absolutely adores working for Debbie Davis. And he's passionate about the people of St. Joseph. And what you just said is he's not the people, but he represents the people. Maybe that's the separation he needs to not make these mistakes. And we agree that it's a mistake and he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, yeah.
We agree on that. I listened to every word he said. I listened to his reason. I listened to why he was upset. And yeah, his apology was shallow. I take that, but I listened to every word in between that, and I listened to what he said about Debbie and how much he, why he came back as a prosecutor after her former boss, and like I just everything he said is like, okay, all right, so he's extremely passionate. I think he learned a lesson here. The fact that they were trying to get it off YouTube.
So I was laughing at Hitchbot thinking I was a Zoom window working in the court.
No. But the fact that both Debbie and Debbie did say, like, can we do this off of YouTube? Do we need to do it on YouTube? And Judge Middleton's like, no, it's going to be on YouTube. But I agree with her. It has nothing to do with the case. This being on YouTube has nothing to do with the case. So listening to this on YouTube, I feel like didn't need to happen. I feel like this was Judge Middleton. I think this was his ego. It was like, no, we're going to put this on YouTube. Why did this have to be on YouTube? It didn't.
Now, I agree with you there. And as I was watching this, I thought that the prosecutor was talking to YouTube and not to Judge Middleton.
Okay. So like that's how I went into this. Is I heard that beginning part. She asked, and then the what's his name, Gary? I don't even know. I'm sorry. I don't even know his name. I haven't seen him often enough, but I think his name's Gary. He one of the very first points he made was how he makes it known he doesn't like how Judge Middleton live streams. That is fairly common amongst lawyers that I talk to. I know some lawyers are, let's do it, whatever. Judge Slavin absolutely loves the fact that we, even me rebroadcasting his streams, he absolutely loves that. But I know that not everyone feels that way. And so Gary doesn't like it. And I don't know. I would have taken this off of YouTube. And I think that's my biggest complaint about it.
I think that there's a good argument for that. I'm not sure that was appropriate. I'm not going to make up my mind about that. On the other hand, I am very much a proponent of open courts. And
I am too.
I do very much like the idea of having all Zoom court sessions, or all court sessions actually live stream, except for family law matters. I do draw the line at, but otherwise, sessions with minor victims, that sort of thing. Those I wouldn't. But my presumption would be it should be all available. By the way, I checked you'd asked me about that, I think last week. I checked. I found a Zoom link, but the judge I was in front of the last couple of mornings doesn't seem to have a live stream, so I couldn't figure out how to get that to you. And I also looked for your email address, and I don't. Mine is very easy to find, by the way, if you use my name here and use a very common email account. Add a very common email account. Folks can email me, and I'm a friendly, chatty guy, so you can talk to me about that.
To find my email, you click on my channel, and there's the about page, like all the way to the right. If you go click on that,
okay.
I have my email public there. You can go find it there.
I should do a shameless plug for my pretty much somnolent page. There is, by the way, a turntable right over there. If you for anybody looking at one.
Oh, nice.
I've got them in almost every room of my house.
I mean, you are Uncle Dan's. What is it? Vinyl records?
Vintage vinyl. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of turntables around. I've got about 6 set up right now, I think. I've got more than 80 in my house. But I do question this because this was not a hearing on a matter. And I'm not sure quite what it was.
Well, it was. It was a hearing on the matter.
Well, I'm not sure that attorney coming in to offer an apology is part of the hearing.
Yes, that is what I agree with. But this was a scheduled hearing for this
Yeah,
guy.
there was a scheduled hearing, but then it seems to me that they're no longer having a hearing. Carrie T, thumbs up to your dad. I'm not sure that this was a hearing. This might also fall under the sort of thing, praise in public, criticize behind closed doors, right? Or correct behind closed doors. So I'm of two minds about that. And I don't know. I can get Judge Middleton wanting to say, lawyers, you are officers of the court, as we all are, and say, I want to make this a public issue. The disciplinary proceedings, of course, are open to the public. Lawyer disciplinary proceedings are open to the public. I'm not sure that the hearings are, but at least the records are, as they should be. But I do have some questions about that, and I think that Judge Middleton's ego. There is a thing, judge-itis. We usually talk about federal judge-itis. U.S. District Court judges are notorious for having gigantic egos, but there's some judge-itis, which just comes with it. If you're sitting on the bench and you're telling people how to run their lives day in and day out, it starts to affect you, which is, the very good, the good judges don't let it affect them, but it's a risk of being a judge to be infected with judge-itis.
That's fair. Yeah. But back.
Your point. I think I think we basically agree. The guy's really honest. He was very sincere.
He's honest.
Rhetorical effectiveness, maybe not so much. I tell a man, hey, eat one of your edibles, dude, and go home, have if you drink scotch or, drink, zero sugar A&W root beer like I, diet root beer like I, do that and chill out, and let that. But this is a time you just take your licks and you go away. That's it.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. I think that I don't think that should have been a pedestal. Maybe he kind of abused the YouTube thing because he knew it was on YouTube and he didn't want it on YouTube. If this was private,
I thought that the lawyer was pitching this to YouTube.
That absolutely could be what it was.
And I think the whole thing gets affected by being on YouTube. People are just different. Hard to say. And it's really hard to get up and just say, I'm gonna just let the bus run over me. But there are times you just need to let the bus run over you. And that's the best thing to do. It's hard to take, but there are times you just got to do that, and you got to, it's that scene from Pulp Fiction. You feel that thing back in the back of your neck there. You feel that little prickle, and that's pride. But don't take a fall, folks. But there are times when you just need to say, got to let the pride go. I got to get beat up for a while and get up the next day and go. And that was what the man needed to do here.
Yeah.
But
I'm stuttering. That's how you know I'm passionate about what I'm saying. I enjoyed his speech. I enjoyed it. I agree with everyone that wasn't a traditional apology. I do think that he meant when he said he was sorry, though. He came up. The first thing he did was he apologized. He didn't just come up and say, "I'm sorry," but he said, "I'm sorry." Went into his little, apology, and then went into how passionate he was about the job. I appreciate that. and I really did. And I think that speaks volumes for Debbie Davis. And maybe that's why I'm clouded on. I seem to be the only one that appreciated what he said. Everyone else is. That wasn't an apology. No, he should be sanctioned. But I'm friends with Debbie. I'm proud to say I'm friends with Debbie. I talked to her earlier. I talked to her about this. Not going to talk about what we talked about. I invited her on panel. She politely said,
Oh, I would have declined if I were Debbie Davis.
yeah, she politely said no.
I would say no. Happy Rock Publishing made a good point. It was an impassioned speech, and I admire him for his passion after all this time. It is amazing he still feels it. That is great. I mean, man, you can get the prosecutors just don't don't give a damn. And I understand three-person department, and we're supposed to have 5. I would like to emphasize, and sometimes I say in here, I say in the chats here and other channels, the courts are overwhelmed, prosecutors are really overwhelmed. Whenever people start criticizing, I'm like, man, these folks are working way harder than I ever worked back. I was working 70, 75 hours a week. They're working way harder than I ever worked, and for much less pay than I worked, because I was always in private practice, and always been in private practice. And these guys are working hard. These folks are working hard. My hat's off to them. My hat is off to all of these folks. And if they get up, they make mistakes, they say the wrong thing. I'll tell you, you're up there, you're standing up, you're on your hind legs, you're arguing, and sometimes you do the wrong thing. Sometimes you make a mistake. It just freaking happens, man. And it's hard to do. So I do really respect this guy for all the hard work he's doing for something that's really important. I mean, and I say bad things about prosecutors a lot. I have real reservations about a lot of prosecutors, but what they do, their role is terribly important, and they are typically terribly overworked, and a lot of what they do wrong is because they're overworked and don't have the what they need to get the job done. There are some other systemic issues there, but yeah, I agree. He's passionate. I'm impressed with the guy. He's been doing it a long time. He's been working hard. He really cares. All that stuff is great. Let that be known in some other way, and maybe not at this time. So I've talked enough. Why don't I drop off? It's great talking.
I was just gonna say, I just pinned the link if anyone wants to join.
Let somebody else get up and talk.
They might have questions. They might have questions for you. If you want to dip, you can dip. I'm not going to force you to.
Oh, well, if anybody has a question for me, let me know.
But let's let the rest of this play out. And there's only about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to let this play out. If anyone joins, then great. If not, then we'll just wrap it up and call it a night. But Dan, you're welcome to stay. If you want to dip, you can dip.
I need to step across the hall, as I like to say. Let me mute and step across mute my microphone and step across the hall.
All right, sounds good.
Within the week, Judge Pattis and I had a discussion just before I went on my trip about what an asset you were to the prosecutor's office. You can try a case in circuit court. You're willing to do misdemeanor pretrials. You show up at sentencing and do appropriate, thoughtful comments. And Judge Pattis and I both believe, I'm sure Judge Stutzman too, that you're an asset to your office. The office wouldn't function without you being there. You and I go back 45 years, which is in part why you thought you could come in there and unload your anger on me. Yes, we taught a generation of young prosecutors how to be a prosecutor, including our current Attorney General. But this case isn't the one to hang it on. Now, we'll have a drug test, and I have my suspicions of how that's going to turn out. And we'll have a prelim, if necessary, on Friday. When all the cases are in circuit court, perhaps you can file a motion to cancel this bond.
Well,
But that's up to Judge Stutzman, and he's got multiple counsel. I think there was an effort to try to do everything together. Anyway,
Your Honor,
I regret that this whole thing happened. I discussed it with the chief judge when he got back, said, how should I deal with this? I don't think it deserves a grievance. All I wanted was an apology, and I got one. And the case will move forward, and the defendant is here as under the court rule. And I said, nobody liked that court rule. It was probably the least popular in the whole criminal justice reform package, but I'm bound to follow the law. Yes?
you had mentioned the prelim on Friday.
I'm sorry.
Okay, just want to make sure.
No, Tuesday, I don't want to make any further confusion. Tuesday, June 17th, 1 o'clock, Mr. Fuller, you're to be there at that time. I want you to go directly from me.
I'm sorry, June 17th or the 10th?
Boy, I'm all screwed up. June 10th,
Okay.
next Tuesday,
All be on the same
June
page.
10th, not the day we've been using for the others. Once you go to the day reporting center right now, and we'll do an 11 panel test. We'll figure out who's going to pay for it, but it'll be paid for.
Yes, sir.
Then it may take a few days to deal with that. We'll deal with the results of that at your prelim next Tuesday. All right, you're free to go. We'll let the day reporting center know that you're coming. Or will you call them and tell them Mr. Fuller's gonna stop there for a 11 panel urine test?
thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This matter is completed.
All right, that's it. Let's do the panel this way. Real quick, I just want to cover these super chats and then we'll get to the questions. So I want to make sure the people that have asked questions with the super chats, I want to make sure to get to them. Chris, you're up here. I already covered you. Legal Fiction, thank you so much for the 10 gifted memberships. Very generous of you. Welcome to the 10 new members. Thank you so much, Legal Fiction. Lauren the Pet Lover. So he said he wants to apologize with that. Yeah, he did. He did. Hold on. Why did it cut it off? So it said someone needs to explain to him what equivocation means. He sure doesn't do a lot of it. Yeah. Jedi, thank you so much for the super chat. Would like to hear Uncle Dan's take on this. The attorney put on the record that we already talked about this. But yeah, thank you so much, Jedi. I appreciate it. Larry, thank you. As a former Leo, I think he represents a system that has changed underneath. He's frustrated by those changes. It may be time for him to retire. Potentially. I don't know. I still like him. I like his passion. He just needs to stop talking to Judge Middleton ex parte. That's going to get him in trouble, which it did. Lauren, thank you. I think Judge Middleton live streams because he values transparency. He may see not addressing this on YouTube might detract from the transparency. Yes, I agree that he values transparency, which is why he still does it. I'm gonna say that, at demanding an apology from an attorney when it has nothing to do, like, it kind of had something to do with the case, but not really. He was mad that the guy let go. It didn't need to happen on the record during that guy's case. It didn't. I'm going to stand by that, but I do respect your opinion. I do. And that might be why Judge Middleton did it. A girl named Joe, court in Canada is not broadcast to the public, sadly. Yeah. I found a few YouTube pages that are Canadian courts, but they don't put any videos out. So, yeah, sadly. Chris, weirdly enough, you're on stream. This is exactly what taxpayers, the tax-paying public needs to see, that the system has bumps and it works. The system there needs more lawyers in that office. Yeah, they do need more lawyers. Real quick, question for Dan. I saw from Peeps. How long did it take you to grow your beard, Dan? Oh, you're muted.
It took me about 2 years to get it to this length. It looks crazy. I trim it to keep it looking like an English garden, where it's carefully tended to look wild. But I had never grown a beard before. My little girl about 3 years ago asked me to grow a beard, and after a while I realized that having a beard was really matched my rather excessive personality.
It does fit. does fit. I can't imagine you without one.
Yeah, now I feel like it's after I grew it, and especially after it started getting long, and I was like, you know what? That's actually me, because I have quite a bit of personality.
That is awesome. I see Chris also has his puppers up. So I want to fly through these real quick because I don't want to miss anybody. Sparkle Poots, awesome idea having Uncle Dan up for the stream. Hey, I just asked. He joined. So it did work out. So Dan, I do appreciate you being up here. Also, I get to thank you for becoming a new member while you're on panel. Thank you so much.
I got a free membership like the first time I was here, and then it expired, and I was like, I got to re-up that. And tonight was like, you know what? I really need to re-up that. I got it. Again, Colin, I really appreciate your channel, because and I'm gonna say some nice things to you. You have a really good heart, and you're a very bright, thoughtful guy with a good heart. That's what counts, man. And so when you do these lives, when you do your streams, or when you do the stuff, that comes out, and it's what that's what makes the streams interesting and valuable. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate the kind words. I'm blushing over here. You can't see because I'm not on camera.
Hey, we don't say kind words to each other often.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. And Peeps, I am so sorry. I starred your question. I really wish you didn't. I wish that there was a way I could refund you this, because you asked the question in the super chat. I didn't realize you did. I started when I saw you ask it, and I didn't ask him because you asked it right when he walked to the bathroom. So I appreciate the super chat. I wish I could refund that, because I know you just really wanted the answer to that question. But thank you so much, Peeps. I do appreciate it. All right. Let's move on. Chris, Jedi, what do you have to say about the case we just watched?
My 2 cents. Well, first, the wife's 2 cents. She thought the guy's apology was kind of lame. She used a few more choice words than that, but and I just came on so that everybody could see Foxtrot. Anyway, no, my take on it was he spent way too much time pontificating. He should have just apologized, fallen on the sword, and gotten out. So I agree with Uncle Dan. I think he took a little too long for that. But I think the base problem is not his. I think, as I said in my chat, I think the base problem is that it's probably good that they have a live stream so that the public there, the taxpaying public, can see the bumps in the road, can see that things don't operate so well sometimes, and the reasons why. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
I agree. I enjoyed that when I saw that this morning. I did. If I didn't, I wouldn't have shared it. I still don't agree it should have been public. I will stand on that for the reasons I already stated, so we don't have to go back in circles. But I do agree with what you're saying, and it was nice to see, that happen. I just wish there was a better way to do it, and I don't have an answer. And this is me complaining that I don't have an answer. But I'm on Team Debbie. I'm hardcore Team Debbie, and maybe that's why I'm seeing this as clouded than the rest of you. I think I'm the only one that saw that and was like, oh yeah, that was a good speech. I even named the title of the video "Masterclass on how to de-escalate a situation" because I really thought he did. I thought he did, and this is why I didn't watch other people's videos, because it would have changed my opinion. And I wanted to go in this with my opinion, and just seeing all the comments, like, man, am I wrong on this? No, it's an opinion. I can't be wrong, but am I?
No, let me give you one other perspective. I'm an old guy. When I was growing up, there was no internet, there was no live stream, there was barely, telephone communications. We got our news and our information reading newspapers, reading magazines. Nobody's reading newspapers and magazines anymore. Everybody's getting their information from the internet, for the good or bad. But and I'm not saying that everything should be live streamed. No family stuff, no children stuff. I'd love to see the Supreme Court live stream. That'll never
There are.
happen.
I
but
was watching one today.
I,
Good too.
you know,
I was
but
watching one today. Some argument. Sorry, I didn't. I'll talk.
that's
after
okay.
you.
but it's the. I think it's just the paradigm shift over the years. There's no more. Printed media has gone the way of the dodo bird. And everybody wants to consume their information in small sound bites or small video bites and online. Well, okay, but since in theory public courts are open to the public, I don't see anything wrong with them being live streamed. Will people pander to the stream? Sure, but I think it outweighs it. If they didn't live stream, you'd be out of a job.
I think that if there were more live streaming, that there'd be less pandering to it as people become used to it. I think there's also just great educational, people are learning about how the courts work and the sausage making that is the judicial process. And I clerked for a judge right out of law school. We had it pretty easy though, because it was, and I won't get into that, but judges, state court judges in particular, they're way overworked. Federal court judges to a lesser extent, but state court judges way overworked, and you can see that. You can see all of this, and yet see the important work they're doing. I did have one thought as I was listening to him, and I forgot to mention this. You're getting sentenced for a crime. When you go up to be sentenced for the crime, is that the sort of statement you make to the court as to why what your sentence should look like?
That's fair. That changes my perspective on how I feel about it. I didn't look at it as he was being sentenced. He was. Judge Middleton was trying to decide if he was going to file grievances on him or not, and he went up there and gave a speech instead. All right, that changed me a little bit. I'm still going to hold fast on my opinions and thoughts, though.
Change your mind, Colin, or I'm sending Cheshire Cat over.
Yeah. I've already replaced all my wires. I'm not changing my mind. If he wants to come over, I've redone the locks. I don't open my screen door anymore, so I guess he's just going to sit on my balcony and stare at me. That's fine. I'll kick him in the face when I step outside. Cheshire Cat, love you. Jedi, what do you have to say?
So
hold on. Real quick, Jedi, I'm so sorry. So Vic sent a super chat. I didn't read it. I want to see if it's a question real quick. I don't mind being on YouTube if it comes to. Okay. Sorry, I didn't. I asked you and then I completely interrupted you. If Vic had a question, I wanted to make sure it was answered. Okay, Jenna, go ahead.
So I gave him points for beginning with an apology. That was the right thing to do, and to indicate that he regrets what he did and what he said and all of those things. So points to him for that. I think, though, at least from what I was hearing from him, he was talking, there was almost like a passive aggressiveness. So, first of all, his body language before he started speaking, so while Debbie Davis was speaking, his arms were crossed. He was like hunched down in his chair. His legs were crossed. Very, pouty, petulant is the word that came to mind. And so that didn't set a good tone. I don't think that his body language was conveying contrition. Now, I do appreciate that he has a great deal of passion, and that's needed. But there's a way to convey that in a way that is more professional. And I think that that's what Judge Middleton was trying to call out, at least in the beginning, with why he wanted this on the record, is because it was very unprofessional what he had done. So take out the ex parte aspect of it. I mean, if that shouldn't have even happened in the first place, that should have been the bigger deal. But I just felt like he was taking a lot of digs. He said things like, you know, regarding their friendship outside of court. He said something to the effect of like, well, until very recently we were friends. That felt like a dig. Then he takes a dig about, you know, mentioning on the record the other communications that they've had between them regarding the defendant's family. I mean, that I was shocked when he said that, but that felt dirty. Um, and then, you know, he talked about accountability. And that was something that he kept reiterating accountability. But it seemed like it was accountability for thee, not accountability for me. He, you know, the way that he went in, you know, kind of came in hot at the judge in chambers and said that's disgusting and didn't have all the facts, it sounds like. And the judge cited the court rule and, you know, like it, he didn't want to be admonished publicly. I understand that, but he can't talk about accountability without being subject to accountability for his actions. So that's my 2 cents.
All right. I feel like everyone's biting the dust, biting at the bit to respond. I just want to say one thing. We were friends up until recently. I don't know who this Gary guy is. I've seen him a few times in court over the last couple months, and that's it. Maybe that comment was because he just was hired as a prosecutor, and now that he's a prosecutor, that relationship has to be severed, at least for the interim.
True. Could be.
So
Could be.
I that's how I took that statement.
Okay. But did it need to be said? Probably not.
No, but did this
Could
need
have
to be
used
on?
fewer
Did it need to be on
words.
YouTube? No, it didn't need to be on YouTube.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
but then the prosecutor talking to the family. Prosecutors do their own investigation about a lot of
no.
different
He
things.
was saying him and Middleton have had conversations about Middleton's dealings with this family.
Oh, that might have been before he was a prosecutor. Maybe it's come up. So I mean that's a fairly interesting statement. Maybe Middleton should recuse himself then, if that family has been at the a part of a discussion with now a prosecutor.
I heard that, and I couldn't quite wrap my head around. Uh, uh, yeah, I do, Tatharina. I do have a clickety clack because I'm old. I have a clickety clack keyboard. Sorry. I was astonished that that came up, and it did concern me about it seems like there, that there's a recusal motion, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Uh,
I mean, I felt like when he said that, if I'm the defense attorney, I'm taking notes.
yeah,
Like what,
what sort of discussions are going on? There's
right.
you got to transfer a venue, and when you do that, you say, okay, we got to move this to the next county over. A lot of cases get dropped. Smaller cases get dropped for that, right? Because it's too much of a hassle for the transfer. So that's questionable. And if Judge Middleton is having those conversations, those even generalized ex parte conversations about people who show up with a prosecutor, it ain't good. I haven't talked much with judges outside of the courtroom. Frankly, they still scare me. They still scare me. Talking to a judge, I'm always like, oh my God, you're a judge. I'm afraid I'll be in front of you someday. But I would not dare to talk to them about any of their cases, or people in front of them, and I would be astonished if they talked to me about it. So,
Vic, this is a great question. I don't know what prosecutor was assigned to this case. I don't know. I assume it was him, but he wasn't there at the start. Debbie was. Maybe she was. I don't know.
I think she was covering just because he was in Judge Patterson's court,
Yeah,
handling another case at the time.
But what? I know that there's actually an official prosecutor on each case. But is it the same as the public defender that they can just kind of sub in for each other if one's busy? Does it?
I
Is
think
that
it's kind of like a law firm. If you're a member of a firm, and sometimes sometimes somebody will say, "Hey, I can't make a hearing. Can you attend the hearing for me?" And you can go in. Typically, you need to file each individual attorney needs to file a separate notice of appearance. But it may be different there. And some courts will let you do an oral notice of appearance. Say, Your Honor, so and so, I'm with such and such. I'm here, representing them, and I'm, putting my notice, putting my notice on the record like this. That's typically acceptable to most. It's, they understand what's going on.
I want to do. Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, so his appearance, his appearance there was not unusual.
And isn't this St. Joe County?
Yeah, St. Joseph County.
Do you know what district it is?
You mean like district number?
Yeah.
No, I know it's the 3B. I don't know if that's just the courthouse number and courthouse the courtroom number and letter.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't know what actual district it is. I do know all the districts have a number. I don't know what district. I mean, that's a quick Google search. We can figure that out really quickly.
Yeah, I mean that's why. Like, I'm on Michigan's case search. I was just looking for the case, and for whatever reason, St. Joe County is not on here.
St. Joseph County uses a weird court filing system. Every time I've tried to look up court files in that courthouse, it's a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Most courthouses in Michigan use MI courts or my courts, whatever they call it.
Right. Yeah.
St. Joseph County uses something weird, and it's not easy. I don't know if that's the issue you're having.
Yeah,
real quick,
probably.
I want to shout out AM Perfection Collection. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it, and the kind words. That is awesome.
By the way, another of my pet peeves is getting court records, which should be open, except for children's, family court and children, records relating to child victims, that sort of thing. But my belief is that all court records should be open and available, and you should be able to get them for nothing. And it drives me crazy that it's not, but you'd have to convince people, and a lot of the systems are really antiquated. Some places places in Oregon, I know you'd have to send runners down, right?
Yeah, I have tried to order body cam footage from a case that I saw in Judge Middleton's courtroom. Now this is about a year and a half ago. I started my channel with a sovereign citizen. It was a sovereign citizen in front of Judge Middleton. And I was like, oh, I can order this body camera. I've got all the details I need. So I filled out the paperwork. I put it in. I got an email from him saying, we're going to send you all of the footage from this officer and every officer involved for the entire day. We're going to charge you by megabyte. Is this what you want? I'm like, okay, well, thank you for telling me that it's going to cost me like $2,000 for a 10-minute video, but you're going to send me like a terabyte of data and charge me for it. So no, it's not okay. But I saw that. I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is because they don't have anyone to actually find these records and this is a deterrent, or if they just don't want to send people stuff.
Well, everybody's overworked and everything. By the way, Budgie says, try living in the UK. The only that's why talking about access to courts. I've been involved. You can't get admitted if you're U.S. barred, U.S. licensed attorney. You can't get admitted like to the UK or Canada without being trained there and being separately licensed there. But I've worked with clients, with local attorneys. If you think the U.S. court system is crazy, try Australia, try Canada, try the UK. I've seen those, and they drove me absolutely nuts with how archaic they are. So, and I know getting records. We were involved in one out Ontario getting records out of Canadian courts. Just like crazy, terrible. So,
I want to jump back to something Jedi said because I noticed it too. His demeanor while Deborah Davis was speaking, he was sitting there in a chair and he had his arms crossed and it was almost like he was scowling. I want to poll the audience. Type a 1 if you saw that too. Type a 1 if you saw him sitting there going. He's about to apologize to Judge Middleton, and he's sitting there looking like a petulant whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not the
Toddler.
way toddler. That's not the way I want to look when I'm about
No.
to fall on my sword. And I'm sitting there
Right.
going, what is he doing? And I just thought that was very curious to be looking like that right before he started up.
Well, and I think that the body language, it does speak volumes, because it's unconscious. Like it, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just that was the position that he took based on how he was feeling, which I think probably like, making himself closed off, looking small, may signal like he knows he's in trouble. But I really think that the body language does speak volumes without having to say a word.
Well, I'm all for, if I'm going to fall on my sword, I will do it with contrition, but I will not look like a petulant baby. All right, to use somebody else's word. If you're about
Yeah.
to do this, if I did
You sit up
something
straight.
if I did something wrong, yeah, you sit up straight and you take your lumps and you
Right.
smooth it out and you go forward with it. And I don't know, it just didn't come across that way most of the time. I think it was
I mean,
heartfelt,
I think it was
but
poor posture for being in court, period. Like, in trouble or not.
I am terrible about that. I slouch all the time. I have to be careful because I'm always like lolling back and everything because that's my personality. And
and
hearings the last 2 days, and I had to lock my chair. Also, my chair broke on me, and it and I don't want to get another one because I'm like I kind of like it, but it's broken, so it's all slanted. It won't sit right. And I was in hearing today, yesterday and today, like trying to get my chair stiff and get sit up straight, Dan, But I was astonished he didn't notice. He didn't notice what he was signaling.
Right.
Because there was I was like, are you so unself-aware that you don't know what you're telling them?
Exactly. I mean, and that's where, like, if I'm ever in a position where I'm in a formal setting, I'm sitting up straight. I'm, like my head is up, unless like if I'm being contrite, my head will be down because I know I've done something wrong, like and Uncle Dan, I could totally see you in a more relaxed posture, kicked back, legs crossed. That I could see. Um, but he was like the way that his body was like hunched forward, arms crossed, like, and I think Harry said it in the chat, it also shows defiance. I would agree. And I think that his words were defiant. He wasn't rude or unprofessional like in his comments. I just think he said way too much. He should have kept that very brief and short, and you know I just,
and
I don't know.
and sitting there having to take it all in is poor Deborah Davis. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when they get back to the office to hear what she has to say.
I've
I
heard.
think
I've
I
seen
think
her.
we already talked about it.
I think she's very good. I like
I
her.
think I love her too, but
Yep.
she didn't need this kind of thing her first year in elected office.
But at the same time, yeah, you're right. She doesn't need this. She's trying to rebuild a prosecutor's office that's in shambles. And
Right.
from what Gary's own words, she's doing a great job at it.
But he's not helping
He's not.
I noticed
with that.
He's not.
someone commented that he didn't think he had appeared in this case, and that he just walked by. He heard about something going on with one of the other prosecutors' cases and went into Judge Middleton's courtroom. Maybe so, but I don't know, and I'll have to admit I don't know whether it works with prosecutors' offices the way it does with law firms. If you're in a law firm, everything that one attorney does is imputed to every other attorney. So that you can't have, for instance, if you're in a case and you have a case against you're representing party A against party B, you can't have the lawyer who's doing it cannot have communications with the party B is represented. You can't talk to them directly. You have to talk only to the lawyer. You can't talk with a represented party. One of your colleagues, partner or associate alike, can't talk with that represented party either. You can't also, and also I think that I would assume it would be the same thing if I'm only in a 3-person firm now, but if I'd been, back when I was in a larger firm, if I'd gone into a judge's chambers to talk about a case or saw a judge and say, hey, my buddy so-and-so from my firm has this case with you, I would have expected to get not only ripped by the judge, but would have been called before the managing partner and of my firm, and would have the head of the litigation side and the managing partner of my firm, and asked to explain myself.
Well, Middleton did call it ex parte, so I mean,
it was an ex parte contact, and and remember when he went in, he was speaking as a member of the prosecutor's office. So you can't say, well, I wasn't really acting. Well, why were you in there then? Why did you say those things? If you didn't just wander in off the street, you wandered in because you're a member of the prosecutor's office. And so I don't think for our purposes of the relevant procedural rule, rule of professional conduct, RPC 3.5, it's an ex parte contact. And I don't see how it could be anything else other than that. So just wrong, and that's the sort of thing in private practice. If I did that sort of thing, that could affect the client, and I would have to advise the client that I had made that contact, and I would have to put my malpractice carrier on notice and say I made a mistake, and it could negatively affect my client, and I violated one of the RPCs. This was the RPC I violated, and that was the comment that I was thinking of. Even if he wasn't on the record with the prosecution, he's a member of the prosecutor's office. He went and talked to the judge about a case with the prosecutor's office.
Yeah, if he was really mad at Middleton, he just don't buy the man a drink the next time you're all out at the bar. I mean, come on.
Yeah, or bring it up. You'll have a hearing on the guy, right? And say, Your Honor, we need to understand something. You did this, and we think that was wrong, and here's why. He had a lot of good arguments about why the guy shouldn't have been out on bond, right?
That I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the guy sounds like a menace to society. On the other hand, Judge Middleton had some goods, but he's an attorney, but Vic, Mr. Souders, I think you're taking it up a little. You're taking up to a level of generality that's a little too high. He wasn't just an attorney; he's a member of the prosecutor's office. He was voicing his opinion about a matter that was before the judge and involved the prosecutor's office. And I think Like a bar disciplinary committee, you take it to a bar disciplinary committee, you're not going to get disbarred. You're not going to get, all you're going to get is, at most a censure, letter of reprimand, whatever the lowest level of discipline is, at most, and it might not go anywhere. There are a lot of violations of the RPCs that occur, and a lot of them are reported to the Bar Association. The one thing that lawyers always say, the one thing that gets you in trouble with the Bar Association is taking clients' money that you're not entitled to. That's the one thing that really gets you in trouble. That may be sleeping with clients, but taking clients' money, that'll get you in trouble with the Bar Association. But people are always saying, I see a lot, he needs to be reported to the bar, she needs to be reported to the bar. And it's like, yeah, that's great. Nothing's going to happen. And it's a sad fact of life, partly because bar associations are overworked, right? They're all overworked and underpaid.
By the way, full disclosure, I am not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I just showed up here because Colin pushed a button.
I am a lawyer. I am not your lawyer. I am not giving you legal advice. If you want me to be your lawyer, if you can figure out who I am, I'll probably say, no, I'm just kind of doing this part-time in my old age, and I'm too busy with other stuff, and it gets in the way, listening to music and playing guitar and doing some fishing, but and watching Colin and Biggin, and some of the other favorites on YouTube.
Yay, Biggin!
Yeah,
Biggin's fun. Another great channel. Let me shout out to Biggin. Great channel, great guy. Just I don't know what he does, like construction work or something like that. Which I did when I was a young man and come out of family with a blue collar family, and I do want people to, people think you're a lawyer. My parents were sharecroppers when I was born. I grew up really poor. My parent, I did construction work, blue collar family and all, so construction workers to me get a tip of the old hat. But Biggin's a great guy and just a real decent guy with with good heart. There you go.
Let's watch the next one. That was my best Biggin impression. That's all I got.
Well, yeah, that's all I got. Don't open that door.
Don't open the door.
Yeah.
I sure do appreciate it.
50,000 volts of Acrite. No, wait a minute. That maybe Shane's done.
Yeah, that's Shane.
And he has a new opening video that I helped make.
Oh yeah, it was Shane and Ashley and the lessons learned about lessons learned.
All right. I think it's about time to call tonight, guys. It's almost 10 o'clock. I gotta get to bed. I want to shout out a few people real quick.
Did Cheshire Cat give you permission to wrap up your stream? Huh?
I haven't opened the door for me. So
hey Jedi, really appreciate you too. I want to say this. I don't. I ain't just blowing smoke. You guys are fun. It's a fun group. I like it.
Well, I don't know. Were you here last night?
No, last night. Last night, I was. We had crazy things going on in this case that was supposed to go to trial yesterday, and crazy stuff was happening. I was drafting a brief that took me freaking forever, so.
Well, now that you're a member, go back and watch last night. I was in rare form.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll have
Significantly
to go check that
more
out,
sober today.
And shout out to Carrie T. Just because we love you.
Carrie T is great. We're all great.
Love you, Kari.
All the mods are great. Jedi is my head mod. For those of you that don't know, she is my biggest protector next to Heather. So
I try.
Who do I have to sleep with around here to get a blue wrench? Anyway.
Well, man, I can't give you that, and I'm sorry, Chris, you're cute, but no, you're too young for me.
You wish. I'm probably older than all you put together.
See, I'm holding out for the people we see on the women we see on Biggin's channel, You know,
Yeah.
one of
You're gonna fix them.
one of Biggin's biscuits.
Uncle Dan's gonna fix everybody. He's not. He's not. He's a lawyer. He's not your lawyer yet. Just give him a call. He'll represent you.
Yeah, probably not. And actually, when you hear my billing rates, you're gonna. I'll scare
You're
you.
gonna think again. There's Rob.
I said my billing rates.
Rob's here.
Rob Dorr, whom I don't know. I don't know Rob, although I live in East Central Minnesota, close to Judge. Is it Mogan or Bogan? Over in Wisconsin.
I think it's pronounced Bogan.
I can say that because I'm in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Judge Bogan in Wisconsin. I keep wanting to go over to work. I'm quite close to her courthouse. I could get there real easily, and I keep wanting to go over, but I'm afraid I would be drooling while I was in the courtroom, and that would be terrible.
Yeah, if you go over there, drop your business cards all over her desk, all over her bench.
No, man, I tell you, I can't get around her because she'd make me stupid, man.
I'm in the Chicago area, and I will cross the Cheddar Curtain once in a while up into Wisconsin.
Chicago.
I'm a transplant from Chicago.
Yeah, well, we just moved actually from Chicago to Lombard, but close
Lombard.
Lombard. Slowly I turn.
I want to tell people too much and dox myself. I grew up in Southeast Missouri, deep in Southeast Missouri, and then moved over to Southern Illinois for 8 years. I went to grad one of my stints in grad school there.
We're at Southern Illinois.
Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, SIUC.
Carbondale.
I was born in Decatur, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Decatur.
I moved to Carbondale, and SIUC had a bunch of Chicago students. And man, those accents for a while, I just I couldn't stand it. It's Chicago. Of course, I grew up talking like a Southern hick,
Well, you didn't say Missouri, right? You didn't say Missouri.
I grew up saying Missouri. Everybody I knew around
really
said Missouri.
I thought they say Missouri.
In 1981, the Post-Dispatch. I remember this very well. The Post-Dispatch ran a poll, and at that time it was 85% Missouri, 15% Missouri, and it was Missouri was principally limited to the southwest part of the state.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it's generalized since then. And so I don't know how, just north of La Crosse, Wisconsin, Vic Suter Salary. But it's generalized. Missouri is becoming more common. But that's only within the last 40 years or so.
Interesting.
I grew up saying Missouri, and everybody I knew grew up saying Missouri. And
I've always said Missouri.
Yeah, and
Missouri, yeah.
Yeah, but I moved over to Carbondale, and it's just the Chicago accents were, now I'm up here, and people in Minnesota say, oh, we don't talk like those people in Fargo, and it's like, yeah, you do. You just don't hear it.
You kind of do.
I actually grew up in New York City, and I think they tell me I've lost my New York City drawl. Occasionally, I will roll an R in something, but I've been here in Chicago for many years now.
Well, Rob Dorr, it's good to see. I've seen your comments, and you obviously know what you're talking about, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Rob, I was, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. Now that I've met Uncle Dan, I'm a big fan of Uncle Dan. I was talking to Jedi before the stream, and I was asking her, how do I properly say I'm going to open the panel to talk to people, but I really just want an attorney to come up and help and navigate through this, but I want Rob. And I was like, how do I specifically do that? I really hope Rob's here. And then I saw you, and I was like, oh, Uncle Dan's an attorney. Yes, let's do this. And you're like, I'm a civil attorney.
Rob actually does criminal law. And I do understand that the criminal courts tend to be tend to be a little more rough and ready than civil stuff, civil litigation, because they're just going fast. You're just ripping through there, and civil litigation tends to be more formal than the criminal courts. So you got to cut them some slack there. I mean, things that would happen in criminal courts, you ain't going to see in civil courts.
Well, Rob, I think you and Dan make sure. Oh, you're on Discord. I was just gonna ask if you were on Discord.
I'm old, so I don't know how to do Discord. But
Okay.
I'm to figure it out.
Don't worry, Jenna doesn't either. She's still trying to learn.
Shut up. What does this button do? I'm an admin on your Discord.
Oh, what is this? I just deleted the whole server. Sorry.
Oh, wait, I could end the stream right now.
All right.
Joking.
I don't know you people.
Chris, I told you to stop picking on Jedi. Stop.
No, that's Cheshire Cat's job.
Oh yeah, Cheshire Cat. I told you to stop picking on her. No, but it was awesome. Uncle Dan, I'm so glad you jumped up.
Well, I'm happy.
Yeah, Uncle Dan, great to see you.
Yeah, happy to do so. And if I can, I'll try to make it. Some nights, because I work out of the Seattle area. I hate mornings, and so I work at. It's great for me to live here and work out of the Seattle area. But sometimes that means I'm working till 7, 8, even 9 o'clock my time. So.
All right, I got to ask a question. So you live in Minnesota, but you practice in Washington. Does that mean you lived in Washington and you moved to Minnesota?
Yeah, I lived in Washington and lived there. I moved to Seattle. Actually, moved to Minneapolis with one of my many ex-wives for her job. That fell apart, and I kept the lake house. I retired for a little bit from practice, and then a friend of mine asked me to join him at his firm. Just a great guy. We'd worked together at the firm where we both been, where I spent most of my career, and I really liked him. And he said, just Connor, you could just live there, and and I have a daughter who lives in Seattle, so if I need to go back, there's a good reason to go back. In addition to that, and I got a bunch of other friends from my law practice. So
I'm assuming you can say Puyallup, right?
Puyallup, yeah. Had an expert one time. We were going to take the case to trial, and he could not get Puget right. He was pronouncing it Puget, and it was like you got to know how to pronounce those things. Swim, Puyallup, Tulalip, Puget, and we were like, we're going to lose the case if
you can't pronounce the word. How are you going to be an expert?
Okay, yeah, I got to get a new expert because we can't get Larry to say, "Come on, man, it's just Puget. Like it stinks, Puget." Like he just couldn't do it.
You can't be an expert witness as a Midwesterner if you don't have 2 ice scrapers in your car. So no, you're gonna be kicked out right away.
Did we have that conversation?
Yeah, we've had it before.
In my car. Good Lord.
All right, we got to call this a night, guys.
Well, it's certainly not a morning.
I got a bunch of work that came in while we were talking, but that's okay.
Okay. I want to say, Rob, you said you're on Discord. I was looking for your name earlier. I don't know your name on Discord. So can you please message me so I can properly recognize you for your Discord name? Other than that, Jedi, Uncle Dan, Chris, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Hey man, thank you. You're awesome.
Uncle Dan, tonight was awesome. It is. You were exactly what I was hoping for to jump on the panel.
Well, I've heard that so many times.
Yes, Uncle Dan. Seriously, loved your input on this. So thank you for joining. It was awesome.
Yeah, you guys are great. Okay, well.
Okay, bye. That's all I got.
Okay, bye.
Good night, everyone.
Everybody. The super chats, the membership model.
Voilà, et aussi, mes enfants. À bientôt. That's what I do on my.
Foxtrot's sleeping. Good night.
All right, you guys are awesome. I'm just gonna end it. We're just gonna end it. You guys have a great night. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Push the button.
Goodbye.
Bye. I don't know what button.
End stream.
Here we go. No, I gotta.
Let's bring Miss Welch in and deal with that.